Hi, I'm Noah,
And I'm Jaymee,
and this is
reviewing Wuthering Heights.
yeah.
So Wuthering Heights is the third feature-length film by Emerald Fennell, who previously made Promising Young Woman and Saltburn. Wuthering Heights, it's based on the book from 1847 of the same name, the only book by the author Emily Bronte. It follows really two main characters, that being Catherine, played by Margot Robbie, and Heathcliff, played by Jacob Elordi. Um, Catherine is part of this family, really just her father, who live in Wuthering Heights, and her father brings in Heathcliff, who is, in the book, a racially ambiguous, poor child, to kind of be like their servant slash, like, almost like her pet male friend.
Yeah.
But they start forming some form of attraction for one another. But after the father becomes an alcoholic and a gambling addict, she feels the urge to marry a very powerful man named Mr. Linton or Edgar, and kind of goes from there, and that kind of causes the tension of the movie and the book. There's a lot of details that are different from the book that are not in the movie. We'll talk about why people feel a certain way about it, but just general thoughts. How do you feel about this movie?
It's really is, I think, one of the bizarrest movie I've seen this year. For starters, I feel like it was incredibly horny.
Yeah.
It was a lot like steamier than I expected it to be, considering the source material was very like dark and moody, and then you go and see this movie and you're like surprised by the amount of sexual tension and between Catherine and Heathcliff and all of that.
I mean, I wasn't
Yeah.
surprised because I know Emerald Fennell.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Saltburn, and she has a lot of movies. Tina Fey with her. Oh, you surprised when Emerald Fennell makes a movie with a sexually violent third act? She was right. Shocker. But yeah, in that respect, it is. I kind of want to talk about that just because that's like the only thing you can say about the movie, and that's kind of frustrating because Wuthering Heights, the book, is praised a lot for it having so many different elements to it. Again,
Right.
Heathcliff's supposed to be a poor, racially ambiguous child. The father's alcohol abuse and gambling addiction really kind of sets up this element of generational trauma on both of them, and that really should be the catalyst for a lot of the plots of the book and kind of just like some of the themes of it.
And the director could have like taken a lot of those elements from the book when she adapted the book, and instead she chose to focus more on the relationship between Catherine and Heathcliff.
It's streamlined, which is a choice. Now, I think, first of all, choosing to make a racially ambiguous character less hated or framed in a more positive light, and then also making them a white actor as opposed to a racially ambiguous slash a minority race actor is a choice, especially when the other Edgar and Nellie, the other servant, are white characters in the book, but non-white actors in the movie, and are kind of framed to be more malicious in the movie than the book.
Right.
Another interesting choice. I would you could say all those things. I just get more frustrated about like the wasted potential of what's in the book, because
Yeah.
there is so much more going on with that, and the movie, quite frankly, is just kind of boring. We mentioned like beforehand that this just kind of felt like a movie. It was stuck between being a movie musical with a very basic plot and like a amped up version of a Bridgerton slash Downton Abbey episode without even any of the commentary that goes along with that. It's just rom-com set in 1800s England.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it felt like a mash between like Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1, and you take Bridgerton, and you take the worst part of both, and you mash it together, strip away the fantasy, and that's what you get with Wuthering Heights for me.
Yeah.
Because it was so like, it felt like they didn't explore anything else. It was just the backdrop for what the movie, like the basic
Yeah.
like premise, which is like, oh look, Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi are hitting it off and yearning for each other for like an hour, 2 hours, I would say, and that's
like,
about
I
it.
also, I guess I'll get in a couple tangible things because I feel like there's some things we have to talk about, just tangibility. The shots are nice. We
Yes.
can't deny that. Someone give that cinematographer to a better director. Call up Rose Glass if you want to go to another female director who deserves way more attention. Because, yeah, the shots are nice. The issue comes with the editing kind of ruins those shots because you get these really delicate, well, that and the script writing kind of let down these shots.
Yes.
Because you get these really delicate long shots with great use of color, great use of focal length.
Yeah.
Then they'll cut away from them to put in a random close-up that doesn't match the tone or like the ADR.
And it just broke. It created
Breaks
like
the immersion.
It breaks the
and
immersion
then they cut back to that
entirely.
shot,
Yes.
and it's just like, well, now it's just worse.
I mean,
And then also
yeah.
the script writing doesn't help because there is no symbolism or themes to look at to make it go, oh, I should be noticing this. It's just, oh, it's pretty. The only symbolism we get is eggshells, and it's just to show that they're horny. And that's it, when there's so much more that could be going on.
I mean, I do want to jump on that point that the movie is aesthetically really pleasing at some moments. Like, I love how in the beginning it went from like, they played with the color theory really well. They went from like dark tones, from like black and gray, and like really just emphasis on like, this is the point of their life at this point. And then as the story progressed, it really leaned into the red and the white and the blues and all of that. And like seeing that transition in the movie was really clever, and I really enjoyed it. But as you said, the editing and the storytelling and like the screenwriting for this.
I also gotta
just
give one
ruined
thing.
it. Yeah.
The fact that, I don't believe this in the book, Edgar paints Kathy's bedroom to be the color of her skin and says it's the most beautiful color, and that doesn't get touched on in any of the racial complications of that at all.
Yes.
That's a choice again. Again, I'm gonna keep it at that's a choice and go from there. Also, the acting is really bad. I like Margot Robbie. Jacob Elordi might win literally the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in a couple weeks. So, you know, not to say that these are objectively bad actors / actresses, but Margot Robbie's completely off in this movie. She's completely misdirected.
Yeah.
Jacob Elordi, I think he's trying to keep the brooding element of the Frankenstein character without the character having much complexity. So he kind of comes across like season 8 Jon Snow, which is
It
weird
also
for
kind
me.
of gave me weird like kissing booth vibes for some weird reason. Like I like watching him act, I was like, okay, what is happening here?
Yeah, and I think the father is completely overselling it, which I kind of at least appreciated for some
Right.
dissonance. And
I do want to give like props to the supporting cast.
They're
Like,
trying.
they're trying their best with what they're given and with the script that they were given.
Yeah.
So, but there were like some really weird
weird
moments.
things, and I guess I'll just touch on a couple other quick notes. Why is the Charlie XCX soundtrack? I have a different show where I'll review that. Possibly.
It did not support the movie
It
whatsoever.
didn't support the movie, and every scene where it comes in, it just feels like, just make a music video. Like, why isn't this just a 10-minute music video for this Charlie XCX concept album? Because it would have been way better, but it just feels like it's dragged and dropped out of nowhere.
And some of the songs on the albums are like massive hits online and like become like a meme. So seeing them,
putting
in
them
the
in the movie.
and then you're like just, the immersion just cuts.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more I could say without getting into murky waters, but just to kind of wrap it all together, I know we've been talking with a pretty negative tone, but what would you give this movie out of 10?
Honestly, I would give this movie a 3 out of 10.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I on Letterboxd, I gave this a 1 star, so I'll convert this to still being a 2. And that is a little bit harsh because I think the actual viewing experience of it, if you're going in blind from the book, is a little bit more enjoyable than you think it is, because it's just like, it's pretty shots, but by the end of it, you feel like you're hitting the same beats again. Not a lot is happening.
It's
and
very repetitive.
And the
I would
romance
say.
is not that interesting. And then if you get out of the theater and read the book, or just read parts of the book, you'll go, why wasn't this here? And it just
There's
makes...
a lot of also characters that were in the book and like
Yeah,
that
this
would
is
not,
only
did not
the
make it
first
into
half of the movie. It's
Yeah.
only the movie is only the first half of the book, so that is why. But you'll still feel like there's so much detail missing, and I think for all those reasons, plus a lot of the messy elements of it, plus the lack of symbolism, plus lack of anything to hold on to, yeah, it really frustrated me. It's not even my least favorite Emerald Fennell movie because I have a lot of deep issues with Promising Young Woman. But to say I didn't expect to be disappointed from this would be lying. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this review, and please stick around for other Review Crew reviews.
Good job, guys.
Ugh. Oh
Man,
my
you
God.
dominated.
Oh.